Hello, everybody. I'm the Dead Girl Walking, and welcome to the first video on this channel. That is currently up. This is not the first video that's been on this channel, but this is the first video of, I guess, a new era where I'm now going to focus on a very specific niche: Cyberpunk. I like Cyberpunk, and I am really hyped for one game in particular. Control Resonant. But besides that, Cyberpunk 2. And despite it coming out in not in the near future, at least like current projections are 2030, 2031, and it also depends on when Witcher 4 releases. And God, we're going to be waiting a bit for Cyberpunk 2. But I thought it would be interesting to go through some of the things that I think should be in Cyberpunk 2. I promise you, I did not mean to make this 10 things long. That was purely an accident. It was 9 for a second, and then I added one very recently that I might not even have on here. So this will be 9 or 10 things I want in Cyberpunk 2. And let's start off with number 1, snow. I want snow in Cyberpunk 2. I really want snow in Cyberpunk 2. With it taking place, of course, in Chicago, I believe. I'm pretty sure it's Chicago. Um, you could have snow. I know it's going to be that's really hard to do, but snow's awesome. I like snow in video games. It's fun when there's snow. It's a different element. It's not just like rain or fog or a sandstorm. Snow. It's awesome. And I don't think I really need to explain anymore. You wouldn't believe me. That's the first thing I wrote on this list. So that was like immediately when I started thinking of things for this video. That was the first thing. I just wanted to get it out there. Please have snow exist in Cyberpunk 2. All right. Number 2, new main characters. I know it's probably going to be new main characters because V's story is done. I just want to, you know, I think V's story is finished. I am glad she comes back for in Cyberpunk 2 in some way, but as a main character still playing as if you, I don't want to still be playing as V because that seems like that would I don't know. V's story is done. Give us new main characters. Now I'm reading that out loud. That sounds really stupid that I put that there. Number 3, I want more actual choices in that actually matter. Obviously, there are different ending paths and different specific things that cause different things to happen. But like what I mean by that is like the decisions you make to get the endings of Phantom Liberty, like the King of Cups, King of Wands, King of Swords, King of I don't remember the other one. Like those ones. I think that the decisions you have to make there are interesting and there should be more of them to give your game a bit more of a unique thing and way more replayability besides just going and doing the somewhat damaged instead of the killing moon, for example. And, getting the tower ending instead of the star ending, stuff like that. I think that would be I think that would be good. And obviously hopefully they're taking their time with this game so that they will actually be able to put those things in. Oh, that's what I was gonna add. Okay, quickly, I just also want to say I'm gonna add this now, but better male love interests. Listen, I get River was obviously rushed. I think an improvement to River would be great, but also Carrie, man, that's also like Carrie. I can excuse way more than River because Carrie's is actually finished. But man, Rivers just overall, when compared to Pan Am and My Girl Judy, it's kind of hard to be like, oh, it's kind of unfair. But just a quick little add in there. Number 4. Ooh, this is interesting. Non-binary slash trans character customization options. Obviously, Cyberpunk 1 came out in 2020, and while there are trans characters in Cyberpunk, probably most famously Claire, I think that, it's going to be what, 2030, 2031 when Cyberpunk 2 comes out at the earliest. I think it is way past due that trans and non-binary representation are in our playable characters in Cyberpunk 2, specifically with they them pronouns and you know maybe some like newer pronouns like any pronouns whatever, and specifically trans, backgrounds that you could do to like show that your character is trans and maybe has some voice lines about that, or about their like kind of gender journey, But that's just me, and it should be you as well. You're watching a transgender person talk about cyberpunk for Christ's sake. Number 5. Ooh, this is fun. This is interesting. I want more indigenous characters and perspectives in the cyberpunk universe. Cyberpunk is all about corporations exploiting resources and taking land and all this stuff. And it is very much kind of interconnected with, you know, the colonization of the lands that I and some of you watching live on. And so I think it is very important that we have indigenous characters, especially because the nomads, I feel like there would be a lot of indigenous people, indigenous nomads. That I don't know that seems to like that clicks in my head. But just in general, like, what does like the indigenous self determination fight look like in 2020 2077 and beyond? What does the world what is it like? Maybe even like some, what do the people who still want land back, what are they thinking? Are they still fighting? Have they given up? These different perspectives, I think, would be really interesting to have. Of course, they would have to be done well. I wouldn't want them to just do it because obviously you should have some. Obviously, you'd have to get like some indigenous people to come in and be kind of consultants and like, I would love to hear like cyberpunk indigenous stories and, some characters in Cyberpunk too. Number 6, cyber vampires. It is the thumbnail, and if you are watching the Cyberpunk video, you most likely know, but if in case you don't, I don't know if it's canon still, but in the Cyberpunk universe, there are vampires. Like there are cybernetic vampires with really cool mods. If you haven't, go look it up. They're really cool. And I don't know, that would be awesome to have in Cyberpunk too. Or it's just like maybe even just like a gang of vampires. Um, that would be awesome. I would love to experience that. I would love to make a cyberpunk vampire character, and you could do a lot with that. That would be really fun. That's it. I don't think I need to say more. Cyberpunk vampires. Tell me you don't want that. Which also leads me into one that is one of the most recent. Also, I was gonna have, but I deleted. But I'll just say it now. Um, Take inspiration from things like The Other Worlds 2 and like Starfield in terms of like faction missions that you can do to like but more like gang missions that you can do. It would be cool to whatever the version of like for example if it was in Night City, which it isn't, but like it would be cool to do like a Mox story path. Obviously it wouldn't be like the main story path, but it would be really cool to have it in this game. Like to have a lot more of that. And again, you're taking your time now, so you can actually do this. You don't have to rush, and also you don't have to lie that you're making a game that's like that you're obviously not making. But anyways, number 7, save data slash decisions from 2077 impact Cyberpunk 2. I don't know how because Night City and Chicago, if you don't if you're not in North America or like if you're not from the US or North America and you don't know, which I'm not from the US, I'm from Canada. I live in Canada, but they're not exactly close. So, but that I don't see that as a barrier for save data and decisions making an impact in your Cyberpunk 2 game. I see that as a challenge and an interesting like putting up these like things in your head to now be like, okay, we have to how do we creatively work around this? So like if you got the star ending, what happened to V there? If you got the sun ending, what happens to V there? Which by the way, I kind of want a Crystal Palace like opening mission or like something happening on the Crystal Palace, but that's not one of my 10 things. But Cyberpunk 2, I think it is I think I would like to see it. Obviously, I will say this real quick. I do think as much as I would like V to survive, it does kind of make sense that she also dies or doesn't make an appearance at all in Cyberpunk 2 because again, her story is done. But, general decisions. Maybe some characters that you told to leave town in some of the gigs to show up in Chicago. Maybe Judy is in Chicago now. Maybe Pan Am and all the Caldos are in Chicago now. Maybe Somi is in hiding in Chicago, or you know, like that type of stuff. I I I I I'm not asking for the world, but I'm asking just for, your decisions in the previous game still somewhat matter. Okay, number 8, and this might be a little bit of I don't know if this is controversial or like if this is a bit of a reach. I think Rosalind Myers should be the main villain of Cyberpunk 2. The Yorinobu Arasaka slash Atom Smasher slash Hanako, kind of, not really, but kind of, like the Kurt Hansen, you know what I'm talking about. I think she should be the Cyberpunk 2 main villain. It feels like they set her up a lot in Phantom Liberty, and I think it would be really cool if she's the main villain, because then you get like a big old, you get a big old, you have an established character, and we see what happens. Maybe she's not like the final boss. I have a theory that the final boss will be well, like Am Smasher or Neo or some shit, or like, you know, someone interesting. But um Rosalind Myers being this kind of character throughout the game that's like villainous, I think makes sense. Because Rosalind, I don't know if you know this, and if you played the game, you might have missed it. She's kind of a bad fucking person. Somi, do you have anything to say about that? Yeah. Um, didn't treat her well. Number 9, Johnny returns, but is not the male lead. AKA, Johnny returns, but like he's not the focus. I think it would be, I think it is a very interesting question of how that, like, even the possibility of Johnny Silverhand returning is kind of crazy. And the fact that Mike Pondsmith has said like he knows how he would do it is crazy, because Johnny's either dead, like the only Johnny is either like past in cyberspace forever, or is fully like full on dead, or has taken over V's body and is leaving Night City. To me, I don't know how you have Johnny in this game and have him be important. Right now, I think he could be like a boss, or like a boss, maybe like someone beyond the Black Wall with Alt, or like with V in the Black Wall, like depending on what ending you got, it would be either V or Johnny. I don't like the idea of doing another voice in the head. Like Cyberpunk 2, you also have a voice in the head. I don't know how I feel about that, but like I do think Johnny should be in it. I would love to see him, but I don't think he should be like someone who the story revolves around. Cuz like part of Johnny's thing is that like he was never actually important. Like nobody cared about. They're in a like he's buried in just an oil field in the middle of nowhere. There's no marking or anything until V puts the marking on the above the grave. It's insane to think that, like, and like the whole thing is like with a lot of the endings is especially the ones where Johnny dies, is in like the description of the mission, of the final mission you're doing. It's like like it's essentially telling V, hey, you should probably move on. Like especially the one for the star, where it's like if you hear a tune, uh listen, but like don't you can listen, but like I'm not there, it's just a ghost in the radio from a different era and stuff. Like his whole thing is like my story's done. This whole thing was an encore. None of this was like, this was your story. This is not my story. My story's done. My story wasn't even important to begin with. I only am like a way more well known because like I caused a nuclear holocaust or whatever. I just think that it's weird to then bring Johnny back because it also his story's done. A lot of cyberpunk character like V and Johnny, they're both of their stories are done kind of. Like it's going to be very difficult to bring them back in Cyberpunk 2 and have it work. But, you know, if you can make it work, go ahead. Stranger things have happened. Not in the cyberpunk world, but just in general. I mean, do you see the state of the world right now? Sorry. Number 10, last but not least, this is less of a specific Cyberpunk 2 thing and more of just Chicago in the Cyberpunk universe. In the following years, until the release of Cyberpunk 2, I want more like world building about Chicago. I think that's not going to be crazy, but like if you don't know, the only like Cyberpunk like essentially all of Cyberpunk revolves around Night City. Sure, there like Arasaka's in Tokyo. They've talked about that. There's other countries and blah blah blah. But like it all takes place in Night City. Everything, the comics, the books, the anime, the everything takes place, especially like TTRPGs, everything takes place in Night City. And so now it's with it being a completely new city, not only do you have to make the city, but you also have to expand the city. You have to expand it. You have to talk about like the history of Chicago and maybe just the NUSA in general. World building about the NUSA would be cool. Um, I don't know if I assume Cyberpunk like Edge Runners 2 is probably going to take place in Night City. And hopefully my theory is correct that it has something to do with Dogtown or Blackwall because of the red coloring of the Edge Runners 2 on the Edge Runners 2 logo. But, you know, that's neither here nor there. But specific like, you know, some indication of like here's some lore about Chicago that you don't have to go on the Wikipedia to figure out. You know, put up an ARG, put up a website, drop some little lore things. I assume that wouldn't if that happens, it's not gonna happen for like in this year, but maybe next year we start to see some comics maybe take place in Chicago. Who knows? I really hope I just want to have a lot of world building set up so that Chicago isn't just like, here's a new city. It's been built up a bit. I think that will work. And those are my 10 things. Look at that. We got through them all. And it only took me 23 minutes to do so, or 24 minutes. Thank you so much for watching. This is my first video, if you can't tell. Um, if you want to see more videos about Cyberpunk, drop a like, comment what you want in Cyberpunk 2, and subscribe because I'm going to be doing a lot more Cyberpunk stuff. This is a Cyberpunk channel now until I run out of things to talk about. Then I'll switch to. No, I'll probably just rehash Cyberpunk stuff. Keep on walking, dead girls. See you in the next one.